Hi, and welcome to Tech Bite Sessions, brought to you by Langley James and TI Consulting. I'm Kieran Delaney of Langley James. We're the UK's leading provider of recruitment services for IT positions for public and private sector organisations. With me today, I've got Stuart Colledge of TI Consulting. Hi, Stuart.
How you doing? Good morning.
Hi, all good, all good. Stuart, can you, before we get started with everything we're going through today, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to this point?
So, brief description about myself. I started off as a Microsoft engineer back in the day, through service desk into third line, into senior management, and then I went off to do 6 years of projects and programs, back into an IT director role, and then here I am teaming up Langley James with my own venture with TI Consulting.
Fabulous. Surely the peak of your career so far. Fantastic. Naturally. So Stuart, what we're going to be looking at today?
So we're going to be looking at digital transformation. Great topic. One that's on the agendas of most companies out there at the moment. We've got digital technologies. What are those digital technologies that are disrupting the markets out there? So we've got some Gartner insights coming up, and then we've got a bit of Q&A at the end between us. Yeah.
Cool. Fantastic.
So digital transformation, why is it happening? So it's happening because we've got a changing competitive landscape out there. So especially with COVID-19 accelerating this disruption of digital technologies, companies are looking to enhance customer experience and engagement through their products and services, and they're changing their value propositions. So they're leveraging these digital technologies to change those products and services which they provide to their customers. So those disruption technologies are called by MIT, a great lady, if you ever want to look her up, from Dr. Jeannie Ross, who is an expert on digital transformation. And she's come up with this SMACIT, which is the social, mobile, analytics, cloud, and Internet of Things. And there's some other things like blockchain and AI out there as well. But these are the disrupting technologies that are coming to disrupt the markets and companies and how we do business. So why do we do it? So obviously because there's disruption technologies out there. But if you think you're a customer, you have that customer base and your target customers. You have your current customers. You have your products and services which you deliver to them, and they could be like online books, like Amazon was. You can look like white goods, actual physical goods. You've got like shopping carts, like Shopify, and those kind of things. Then you've got like online learning platforms, which is with COVID and schools being shut. I mean, that's prevalent at the moment. But the thing is, you've got your competitors doing the same thing. So it's about having that differentiator that will differentiate your products and services from those, and the companies that are going to win in this, and if it is a winning game, are the ones that take advantage of these digital technologies to enhance those value propositions. So we're looking at how we enhance our products and services and how we enhance the delivery to our customers. And then also we want to do that so they don't look at other competitors' products and they buy ours.
Absolutely right. Yeah. In fact, I mean, this week I've just bought a new TV, and I've just experienced, I've seen a whole range of different outlets, and the experience of all of them is really quite different, and how the journey going through them. And some of them are really clunky and awkward, while some are really, really slick. And guess what? You go for the slick ones.
Which is around the user experience. So that UX.
Highly relevant. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And we'll be talking a bit more about that later in the deck. So types of transformation. So this was a good one. As we did our research on this, and going back to Jeannie Ross at MIT again, we understand there's two types of digital transformation, or there's two elements to digital transformation. There's the digitized element, so it's about becoming the digital organization, and then there's a digital element, which is more about the technologies and the empowerment of the organization. So the digitized element of it, we are trying to achieve the operational excellence. So you must have heard operational excellence banded around. What is it?
A lot.
It's about the efficiency, it's about the reliability, and it's about the customer experience. You've just cited customer experience with your TV.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
that operational excellence piece. That's basically what it translates into. So when you see that banded around, you can actually now put it into actually what's tangible.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean?
Yeah.
Your digital empowerment side of things is your rapid business innovation. So going back to those business opportunities, who your customers are, changing your business models, which is what a lot of companies are doing with this current pandemic, is changing their business models. Great one which I shared out on LinkedIn was the business model canvas. Dates back many years, but still a relevant exercise to do. So if you fish that one out, get it on a whiteboard in front of your organization and have a look at your business model and how you can adjust it to take advantage of the current crisis and those technologies that will help you change and evolve those customer value propositions moving forwards.
So this is really key, that bit. You've got, I think there's an awful lot of people out there, both technically minded and not as well, who perhaps aren't clear on the differences between those two verticals and actually the impact one to another. If I don't have my CRM system purring and everybody using it properly and the data being managed properly, then my opportunity to take advantage of the technology opportunities out there to reach the market is going to stall, because my digitized operation isn't set up properly, and I'm perhaps going to waste my investment pulling the trigger too early on taking advantage of technology.
And it's interesting you say pulling the trigger too early, because a lot of the engagements and a lot of the talks I give to teams, and I draw out the life cycle of product delivery. I mean, what we're talking about here, we're talking about business change, utilizing technology, and business change should be done with really solid and sound rationale, a business case, So, and you're saying pulling the trigger too quickly. A lot of customers of mine and a lot of engagements I've been into, they've asked me the question, what technology will enable me to do this? Yeah, the enablement part of it's correct. But what we've got to be looking at is the people, process, technology element, which is the approach. Yeah. So if we're looking at what the enterprise architecture is, and that's fundamental to the company, how it interoperates, the interoperability, how each of those business units talk to each other. Business is one of those key domains, as is your data domain, as is your application and technology domain. So put that people, process, technology element in there across all those different domains, and you're really looking at all those different parts of the business now when it operates. That's your enterprise architecture. It's not as a lot of people, when I ask that question, what do you think it is, and they'd say, well, it's your switches and your wires and your cables now, all whole enterprise. It's not just an IT element. It's sales, it's marketing, it's PR, it's HR, it's facilities, it's finance. It's all of those elements of your business that make up that enterprise architecture. And you've got to, within those domains and people, process, technology, you've got to put compliance in there, and you've also got to put security, because you're building things on cloud platforms now which require security. You're having more cyber threats nowadays, which need to have security elements in there to help combat any breaches. Exactly. And also compliance, complying with things like GDPR, and making sure that you don't have breaches there. So it's all and knowing how to react to these things as well. So if we look at this sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I noticed there that you've got technology isn't first.
Yes. Now this is it. And you were saying about companies pulling the trigger. That is in that order for a reason, because you look at the technology. So you look at it last. So you understand what people do. The ideas come from people. What processes they employ to do their day-to-day, their ways of working. And then they look to the technologies to help them automate and bring in those performance and productivity enhancements. If you do it technology first, then you're retrofitting, and you could actually potentially stop a lot of your company from working. There's been plenty of occasions where they bought in a product where it works in one side of the company, but it stops the other side of the company working because it doesn't have all the features and functionalities that particular side of the company that the first side have. So it's about talking to your people which leads us to our first circle here, which is business engagement. Understand your customers, understand your people within your business, understand your workforce, speak to your leadership team, identify the people in the company that you should be talking to and which groups they belong to. So create those forums, create those operation forums, create those technology forums, but understand how you communicate and what your communication strategy is and how you are using those communication tools like email, like Slack, like Zoom. I mean, Zoom and Teams and all those other video conferencing which come to the forefront with COVID-19. How we understand and leverage the best from our investment. So again, back to strong rationale and strong strategy, vision of the company, your current mission, translating that down into strategic objectives, having the right people in the room when you're translating those down to the different individual business units. What does the HR roadmap look like? How does that align to the sales and marketing roadmap? How does IT support with their roadmap? And putting that into a portfolio and actually prioritizing what we should be delivering. But also operations, and this is around having great operational environments, and not just in IT, but in all those other business units like HR, marketing, sales, and finance, and facilities, and all those people that interact. But having those solid operating models and those business processes and those ways of working, those standard operating procedures, and everything that comes encompasses in a day-to-day BAU environment. But that is supported by a really well-defined delivery method, which we call TI Consulting business initiative delivery, because business initiatives come out of what that vision translation is. So, and they are prioritized within the company portfolio, and then that is then translated by those different business units. It doesn't matter what you use. If you want to use Agile, or if you want to use Prince 2, or you want to use Kanban, or you want to use any sort of lean delivery or iterative approach, it doesn't matter. But what you should be doing is tailoring that approach to what the product is you're trying to build or release, or it could, I mean, an office move, for instance, would probably be different from an app build, so I wouldn't necessarily use like an Agile for both. You could do, and there would be some people that say, yeah, we can do it, but why do it? Just tailor it, just know what's best for the company and what's best for your peers, and speak to them, So, but all of those, they feed into having a solid enterprise architecture. And the reason why we have a solid enterprise architecture is to leverage these digital technologies moving forward. Building these strong platforms so we can be agile, so we can leverage these digital technologies in a cost-effective way. That's why all these elements are so important: business engagement, strategy, operation environment, and that initiative delivery. They all contribute.
Just to underline a point that you made at the beginning of this slide, I've experienced it myself many times with business leaders in companies of all shapes and sizes as well, where enterprise architecture is very much lumped into the category of IT, and actually everything that you've just talked about is full landscape of full company.
It is full landscape. It's well put. It's full landscape. So for me, because this is business change. Even though it's transformation, even while we're trying to get from one state to another state, it's about translation, and it's about the approach we adopt. So it shouldn't have been any difference from business change anyway. But we're now utilizing a digital organization and digital technologies, or digitized organization, should I say? So I just wanted to put some takeaways from it, and what we should be doing as businesses to enable digital transformation, because it's not just one person that does this. It's the whole business. This is why we've got to remove those communication silos and enable the workforce to work together. We've got to build those strong business and customer engagement relationships and partnerships across the company and externally to our customers. Start small. Minimum viable product, and scale up and scale out. So that real agile approach with pizza teams and product owners and keeping it fluid, looking at like those skunk work projects.
Yeah.
A lot of those monolithic architectures that a lot of these companies have at the moment are in agile or unagile. But they're complete opposite of agility. So you can't change something that big. So you have to do it in small. That's why a minimum viable product is a really good approach. And there's certainly, you know, the agile principles support that kind of approach. You've got to evolve the enterprise architecture to, as I said, to support this move into digital, supporting digital technologies. Strive for true business agility. So once you've got the enterprise architecture working together, that's when it's true agility, because you've got all those domains, your business, your data application, and your technology working in fluidly together. Enable that sustainability and innovation. What I mean by that is don't use it as a box ticking exercise, sustain it. So once you've delivered it, make sure that you're doing these controls on a day-to-day basis. Don't just leave it and like visit it once a year. Otherwise you're going to be spending a lot of money over again.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So and then defining those digital offerings. So these digital offerings, these value propositions to our customers, they're full of information enriched solutions. So they're utilizing all these technologies. Which we can talk a bit more in the Gartner insights. But we're solving customer problems at the end of the day, but we're also solving them before they know they've got a problem.
Yeah.
Innovation comes in.
And once again, I know it's a running theme so far, but once again, it's the people, the business unit directors, the departmental leaders, the business leaders within the business that will need to change how they manage their department in order to accommodate these technology changes and these enhancements, and to keep it agile and keep it up to date. Because if on one day all this enthusiasm for transformation happens, but nobody changes how they operate, the very next day it's already beginning to be out of date.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. It's about putting those personalities and conflicts aside and working together for a common aim, isn't it? It's that kind of whole coming together. But a lot of it, which I haven't mentioned already, and I've got this far through the deck without mentioning it, it's about the culture and environment of the company. Because if you are trying to copy another company and you've got a different culture, environment, people, you sell different products and services, you might even be in a different vertical or sector, you're not going to be able to emulate their success. I mean, there was the time where everyone wanted to be the next Spotify. You know, I'd walk into a company, I'd be given a book saying we want to be like these because someone's read it and gone, well, that's what we should do. They're treating it as a kind of a commodity, like let's deliver digital transformation. But really we should be stepping back and saying, right, okay, what do we do as a business? What do we supply to our customers? Why do we do it? You know, and then putting that all together and then coming up with that sound rationale to actually saying, well, this is what we're going to do. So we're looking at Gartner's insights. So there's three main themes that Gartner have got out at the moment, which are really relevant, and then they become more relevant as I go through them, especially what we've been talking about in the previous slides. So people centricity, location independent, and resilient delivery. So Internet of Behaviors, that's all your kind of Internet of Things, where your Alexas, your cameras, you're attached to internet devices, monitoring devices, etc. Let's use the black box that you can put in your car, so an insurance company can see how you're driving, so you can get a reduction in your insurance premiums. That's the kind of way that the organizations, private and public, are going to be using data that Gartner calling the digital dust. It's been captured on all these devices, on your mobile phones and on the websites you visit, and using them to enhance those value propositions to their customers. But also there's a social efficacy and ethical implications around this, because that same data could not just be used by an insurance company, it could be given to law enforcement. So if you're speeding along, you know, you could go the other way. So there's some things to think about when they're implementing these technologies. Total experience. So you've got multiple experience, customer experience, employee experience and user experience, which is total experience. And I mean, what better to learn from COVID-19 with home working and remote working and the way people use their tools. And it's optimizing all those experiences, using those tools and techniques. And I mean, everyone's been on a call and it hasn't gone how they thought it would go, or their internet would drop out and everything.
Absolutely.
So it's learning from all these mistakes and then evolving into better products and services going forward.
Yeah.
Privacy enhancing computation. So these are the environments that are decentralized, where analytical processing is taking place. Our algorithms and data are being transformed, but it's having those safe and secure environments for it to do that. Locational independence. So we've got this is a great one for me. So for a technology leader, this particular theme, the area, locational independence, is great because it supports the home working, it supports that distribution of services. So you take distributed cloud. I mean, I've opened up offices all around the world, and having latency issue is one of the key factors.
Classic,
of that.
isn't it?
Yeah.
But
if you put a data center, if you open an office in Asia, for instance, and then you open up a data center there and you put your data over there, then you're going to have privacy issues. So because you're outside the European, and now we've left with Brexit, but we're outside of that economic area with your data. And I know there's safe ports or whatever, but this distributed cloud model gives some advantages over the previous cloud offerings, and also more cost benefits in there as well. So that's an interesting one. Anywhere operations operating model, again, having that green circle on one of my previous slides, remote operating model, which I've coined there, is just basically having your operating model should be defined how your company is going to operate to deliver those services to not only your employees but your customers, and that's where your total experience comes in again. So all of these are interlinking, but it's being able to support those end users, but also distributed deployment, for instance. So if I need to get a service out to an end user, rather than them in old days, they used to line up in front of the service desk with the queue out the door. We can deploy this a lot faster, but we can also deploy it more securely. And that's where it leads us on to like cyber mesh, because we're working in our home environments now. We're not in those boundaries of our offices, so we're opened up to more threats, like unsecure networks. But we're looking again at a distributed architecture and flexible and reliable cyber control, and also secure access to our devices. So like you've had biometrics, which is another disruptor. But also facial recognition and different ways to log on to your devices, like two-factor authentication. So that's encapsulated into that as well. Moving to the last theme, we've got the resilient delivery. So again, COVID is another example of getting our services out without breaking. Resilient, reliable services, which again is that more digitized part of it, that reliable and efficiency part of it. So intelligent, composable business, so enhanced information access, augmenting that information to get better insights out of it, but also it's very composable, it's very modular, and it's very agile because we're getting quick responses from that data. AI engineering. So according to Gartner, there's a lot of AI engineering projects that are failing. But again, this isn't just to do with digital transformation. It's to do with how you approach these projects. And is it another thing like a commodity? Everyone's doing AI, we should do it as well.
Yeah.
You should be doing AI for the right reasons. I mean, there's a lot of services out there that can use AI to help in service desks, for instance.
Yeah.
To automate, to increase performance and productivity for our end users and then ultimately our customers. So we need a robust AI strategy around this as well, which really does link into the whole company strategy, not just it's out on a limb in a silo. So we need to we need to reduce that silos thinking, but it's also around those three pillars of data ops, model ops, and DevOps, which have emerged with those new roles that have emerged with these new digital technologies that have been coming out over the last 10 or so years. And then the last one, which is a really interesting one, again with COVID, hyper automation and business processes. So the amount of you know, when a cyber breach happens, companies tend to layer even more processes on top because they don't. A breach has happened. They've missed a 72-hour window to report that breach, and so they put a process in place. But what they should be doing is actually looking at their operating model and looking at their capabilities and their resources and their methods. So actually how they tackle and drill into their teams of how to react to breaches rather than laying on total, more processes.
Yeah.
So again, if you're laying on too much in the way of process, you're stifling agility. Yeah. So what hyper automation is doing is it's automating those processes and taking those processes off your teams to allow them to do their day jobs and to be more agile themselves. So we're also reducing technical debt because there's always, I've witnessed it, there's always a tendency to cut across governance when you need to get something out the door. And if you do that, you'll build technical debt. Yeah, it happens in a lot of companies, and that's why you end up with these monolithic hairball architectures. But again, the last thing on that slide, digital operational excellence. Now we know what that is from the previous slide. It's the digitize. So I think the takeaway from all these technologies and this slide deck is don't embark on digital transformation until you know that you can do it. Because you can do it in small bits. You can dip your toe in MVP, but just don't jump in with technology. Understand it's business 101. Understand why you're doing it, and then scale up. Once you get a little bit better at it, once you've got this, you find out and taken out that technical debt and got a more robust enterprise architecture, then embark on something like this.
It's interesting this. I can see very much why, Gartner, after the year that we've all had, back in March, April time, big, we do work in all kind of markets, pretty much every industry really. And in the energy sector, power stations and the like, these guys have got very, very robust disaster recovery plans. They've got plans for nuclear war and all sorts of stuff in play, but your average company doesn't have that. And your average company, even if they've got a policy, it's never been exercised. So all of a sudden in March, April time, boom, everybody, small or big, we're thrown into this mix. So everybody's broke. I mean, even basic stuff like there are companies that we were ringing throughout the summer that you couldn't ring because their systems weren't set up to handle it. So we were selling to them, but what about the people that wanted to buy from them? So that suddenly business models were breaking everywhere. So I'm not at all surprised to see Gartner saying, right, well, we've learned the hard way. Everybody's been forced through the process of having to make these changes, and next year it's all about being robust and embracing the change and working with it. So it's fascinating to see it.
Yes, and this is why we've teamed up with Langley James, is because you have that knowledge, but we have the expertise to translate this. So it's all very well knowing all this stuff, but then you still have to translate it. And what I've been doing in my career is a lot of business change. We've delivered a lot of projects, successfully delivered a lot of projects. So it's that translation approach and that bringing and guiding companies in a way to make those key investments to maximize return on investment and reduce that total cost of ownership.
Totally, which is what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? Really,
it is.
Yeah.
So some fun. They come to the fun part. We've and so this week this particular session, we've actually got some questions that we've put in there because these are the questions that we're asked most of all. And the fun one is it's around project and program management and initiative delivery. In your opinion, what is the most common cause of project failure? In my opinion, it is people, because everything starts with people, process, technology. You can blame the tools. You've heard the old adage, a bad workman blames his tools.
Yeah.
We're very good at treating symptoms, but we don't necessarily go back to the root cause, because it will go back to somebody. Someone would have started that chain of events. So I think this is where having that model of strong business engagement is key, because if you've got that, then it gives you the springboard to deliver the rest of a project. If you don't have that from the beginning, and you don't have that strong aligned business strategy, that strong aligned business rationale to even embark on something, which comes from people making those decisions. That's where the failures come.
And I suppose, with that in mind then, and I've seen plenty of this over the years as well, is where there's always a fall guy, and often it's the project manager or it's someone in charge of that small thing. But actually, judging by everything that you've been through in this session, it starts at the very, 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 very top with the enterprise architecture in the first place. And if a bad decision was made to embark on a project in the first place, and the project was then actioned and funded and recruitment happened and it all happened, it was doomed to failure in the first place because the business wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, in another scenario,
interesting.
It's not a blame and burn question or culture thing here. It's basically it can fail any part, but there will be and until AI gets really efficient at running projects, we won't be able to blame AI, and we shouldn't be blaming anyway. We should be actually asking those questions to divert any conflict or any major disruption to a project or failure before it happens. So we should be using the right tools and using the right communication channels, contacting the right people at the right times to avert any impact on the project. Second question. So, and the reason why I put this one in there, because I've heard this a lot as well, and according to ZDNet or ZNet, there's 80% of transformations that are failing at the moment. Again, it's why are they failing? Let's take it back. It's, in your opinion, what is the most common cause of digital transformation failure? Why are we embarking on digital transformation unless we know all these other bits of the puzzle, which we've discussed in the slide deck? Again, it comes back to people making those decisions, but we've got so many. I mean, project management and program management and portfolio management and business cases, they've been around for decades. So why we stop using them? I mean, just because someone says we're now agile doesn't mean we don't plan. We should be in the agility sense, in the agile sense, we should be looking at what adds value, not leaving that document out totally. It just said if it's valuable, if it's going to add value to the project, then produce it. If it's not, then don't. That's what it means. But I think it comes back to people understanding what digital transformation is. So I hope we've kind of given people something to think about, and also explained what those types of transformation are, and also why they need to be doing it, because they're taking it back to their vision, mission, and their own strategic objectives. With
that in mind as well, just a point that's hit me as well with this, and this is the really good news, I think, for business leaders out there, particularly non-technical ones, is that transformation and the reasons for transformation, it isn't technophobia doesn't have to even come into it. It's not about understanding the intricacies and the difficulties of the technicalities of IT. It's about understanding the business in a commercial sense and looking at the commercial return on investment in a digital technology. And that changes everything. Suddenly it means I don't need an IT guy to tell me that. I can do that myself.
And the thing is, us IT leaders and us IT technical people, we shouldn't be burdening the customer that, because if you think nowadays we can get an iPhone and or an Android phone or whatever takes your preference, and you can download an app very quickly. That's that fluidity in receiving that. That's what we should be striving for. We shouldn't be putting the complexity on the customer. It's about understanding the customer's needs. So people don't have to be technophobes, but we just need to understand, as business leaders and the people who are reacting to these business problems and utilizing the digital technologies to deliver these better value propositions and enhancing our products and services to our customers. I'll take a breath. But we should be making that as seamless as possible, and that starts with people and talking, good communication. And obviously you need some technical people in there as well, because you actually understand what you're doing. But
and a solid recruiter as well.
And a solid recruiter. Just so people take note of this particular part of the section, and I haven't turned off by now. But given the current technology trends and insights, what is the top of the list for business leaders in 2021? So I think one, recovery from this pandemic, and the lockdowns have certainly caused a lot of businesses a lot of problems just being able to operate. But I think if we look at locational independent theme, and especially for me, that's very poignant in the Gartner themes, enabling that remote workforce. I mean, not everyone can work remotely, but it's about leveraging those technologies to help those people in their environments as well. So there's going to be a lot of innovation happening. There's got to be a lot of like in imaginative thinking to leverage these technologies. I'll give you something I was reading this week. Is there was I don't know if it was a travel agency that or a bank, but they'd put the whole solution to using that total experience model, where the customers were being scanned before they came in to the premises, and the doors were opening. It was contactless. They could pick the items online or on their own mobile devices. It's a bit like when you order a drink in a pub now, and you go in and use the app and it gets delivered. So it's being imaginative and utilizing and leveraging these technologies to be imaginative and innovative to deliver enhanced value propositions to the customers.
Absolutely, because there's no doubt the whole landscape's changed so much with how customers buy your services and consume. It's amazing.
It's not gonna slow up. It's accelerating. And who knows how long this is going to go on? And hopefully, these vaccines will prove their worth and things will return back to normal in 2021.
Well, I think they will, although from a how people consume products and services point of view, I think the legacy of COVID is going to be a huge shift in customer behavior and consumer behavior. I think it's already happened, and I don't think people will go back. I think people are more technology orientated because of the distance thing. I think it's going to be the way forward. In many ways, one of the silver linings of this horrible thing is that it has forced incredible levels of innovation and incredible levels of change in a very, very short space of time that I do think are going to stick around. Because some of it's good, some of it's for our own benefit. So I can see it. So, it's pretty interesting. Great stuff. Well, it's been fantastic talking with you, Stuart, and hearing everything that you had to say.
It's been a pleasure.
Certainly clarified quite a number of things and made clear some interesting elements of the transformation world. Thank you to everybody for listening to this Tech Bytes session. If you've got any questions or any ideas on what's been discussed so far, you're most welcome to send us an email to techbyte@langleyjames.com or indeed via the Tech Byte LinkedIn channel. So from both Stuart and I, we wish you a good day. We'll catch you soon in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.